everyone. Another wonderful topic, the black-eyed children. And if this kind of story scares you, you might want to go somewhere else. Not trying to scare people. I just like interesting topics, and this is one I've always found interesting. Maybe should have saved it for Halloween, but there you go. Didn't mean to scare anyone by the last one, like the knocking at the door thing. But the black-eyed children is a little different, type of story. Are they aliens? Are they hybrids? Are they demons? Nobody really knows exactly what they are. They're probably alien hybrids or aliens or something. But nobody really knows what they are. The stories have been out mostly since, I think, like at the mid-1990s. But there was the first story actually came out about 1950. There was a kid who was coming home from school, and he, I don't want to look so blue. I don't want to look like the blue. He was, he's all kid, and about his age, maybe teenager, I'm not exactly sure. And the kid said he wanted to come home with him, to follow him home, to go inside to, I guess, to call his mom or whatever. And he said he felt, of course, like most people feel, they all of a sudden feel this dread, this overwhelming, yikes, let me out of here. And he ran home. He said he felt like running, and he just ran. And of course, his parents believed him. They actually went out hunting for the kid, because at this time, there were no tales about these kinds of things that anyone really knew about. They did long before the internet, right? I'm guessing, even though it was mostly started in the 90s, I'm guessing these tales have been around for a really long time. People just don't, say as much about them. Because why would they start, They probably did start like in the 1940s and 1950s when maybe Roswell, all these things started happening, a lot. So, anyway, and that is if they're related to aliens. I don't know. If they're demons, I'm sure they've been around for a lot longer then. Who knows? Who knows what they are, why they are, and what it means. There's like so many stories you could find on the internet. Now, am I saying all those stories are necessarily true? I think a lot of them are. But I can't go around saying they all are. I mean, obviously it's an urban legend for a reason, because there's, people don't know, exactly. But a few stories. Most time, you get the stories where, like the guy who sees them knocking at the car, and they say, "Oh, let us in," and they have just pure black eyes, and they're kids, anywhere from like about 6 to about 16, 17 years old, and they, the people like get this overwhelming like dread feeling, and they don't let them in, right? But what happens when they do? I have a couple of stories about when they do let them in. Firstly, whether they have black eyes or not, I don't really think people should be letting just anyone in. But here's a story. This lady was at home, I think it was in Vermont. There was a blizzard out, and she hears a knocking at the door. She looks out and she sees two kids, and they're not dressed like they were out in the snow. Well, she goes to get her husband, because something didn't seem quite right, she was feeling a little, and her husband opens the door, and they're like, "Can you let us in until our dad comes and picks our parents come and pick us up," I think is what they said. Let us call our parents and have them pick us up, or what, however they said that. So they do let them in. And they the lady was saying, you want something like hot cocoa to eat, to drink, and asking them questions like where you come from and different things like that, and they would just say the same, our parents will pick us up soon. That's all they kept saying. So and they had these people had 4 cats, and one hissed at the kids, and none of the cats liked them. They all hid away. And the little kids went to go to the bathroom or something, so the lady showed them that. And as soon as the kids went into the bathroom, her husband, his nose started bleeding. The power started to shut off. Weird things like that were happening. And when the power came back on, she saw that the 2 kids, when she went to go get a tissue for her husband, they were just standing there, staring. Well, then they said, our parents are here now. And they went outside, and there was a black car. And out of the black car was a man in black, in a black suit. A man in black? The Black-Eyed Children? What? Are they related? And what does that mean? Well, it wasn't like a few months out or so after this happened. The husband still continued to get the nosebleeds, found out that he had some kind of cancer, skin cancer. She started getting nosebleeds, and she also got cancer. The cat that hissed was found with the hemorrhaging and blood all over, and it was dead. And the other 3 cats just went missing. So I would say, don't let them in. That being said, don't freak out if you do. Remember, you have your mighty I am God presence within you. We all do. And that is a lot stronger than the evil. Just remember that. But it does make you wonder, what are they? Are they some kind of aliens who are trying to, are they hybrids? Are they a mix between the alien and human? I don't know. What is the Man in Black? Oops, I meant the Black-Eyed Children. The Man in Black, that's another question we all want answered too. What exactly are the Men in Black? Because they don't seem quite human either, do they? Do I think our governments probably know what these are? Probably. Will we find out? Hopefully, if we really want to. But the thing of it is, and I think most of us do want to know, but I think the thing of it is to realize they don't have more power than you do. That being said, there was another incident where this guy who had been at this conference, and he was going to go, I guess, home, and he was in one of those parking garages to go to his car, and he saw a fellow, we'll call him Doug, that's how they called him there, who also had been at the conference. And this Doug guy said to him, will you let me ride in your car for a while? Because there was some kids dressed in black, some goth kids, and they were hanging around my car, and they're kind of freaky. Well, he said, okay. So they drove around for a little bit there, and when they went to go to his car, Doug's car, he saw the creepy kids, and they all came up and they were like, we just wanted a ride. Well, they were still trying to get in or something, so he was like trying to get away from these kids, the guy telling the story. And finally they just didn't see him, so the Doug decided to go back to his car. And Doug finally admitted before he left, I did give the youngest kid, because one looked old, there was a girl who looked about 15, a boy who looked about 14, and another boy who was about 10. He said, I did give the youngest kid a ride earlier. And so he was feeling a little bit, well, this Doug, And so Doug was first. He backed out his car and he was going around out out of the parking garage. And by the way, the kids they saw they were still in the parking garage, but as they were coming out, one of the kids was already down there below. They'd already beat him. How did he beat him? And as this Doug was going out and he was trying to make it before the light, he didn't. A truck or something hit him. Kaboosh. And killed him. And as the guy telling the story was talking to the police, he saw those kids about 2 blocks away looking at him. So, just don't let them in. That being said, don't get all, if you do. Because I think most of the time, when they do let them in, and these kinds of things happen, it's because they expect something bad to happen to themselves. They're like all freaked out and like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen to me now. And of course, then you attract it to you, and then it does. So, just don't get freaked out. And then, I know it's probably easier said than done when you see somebody, we have whites in our eyes. Can you imagine if not only that, the normal, the iris was black, but can you imagine if the whole white of this was also black? That's how they supposedly looked, all black, everything black. If they're aliens, I wouldn't want to be, that race would freak me out just a little bit. Anyway, there's like 1,000 of these stories. Most stories are, they don't let them in. This one guy and his girlfriend called this other guy who told the story from his car in the parking lot, and he said that these kids were trying to get into his car. Of course, they didn't let him in, and these couple of kids, and so the guy was going to go down there and help his friend. By the time he got there, the couple was already had been in an accident and both killed. They didn't even let those kids in. And we're talking about just in a parking lot, right? Not out on the street. A truck had hit their car, trying to swerve to miss the kids. So, I don't know, I would say most times if you don't let them in, you're safer. But you know what I mean? But at the same time, you can't get freaked out if you do. Anyway, I know. This could go on and on and on, all these stories. But they're all in the internet, so you could read these stories, One more story I have. One guy actually was at a bar. And there was this woman there. And of course they struck up a conversation and he went home with her. It was a little, 3 sheets to the wind anyway. He went home with her. And he woke up like around 2 o'clock and he says there was like a lot, he told his friend this later, there was a lot of young kids there. And she was starting to get, towards the end, she was starting to seem not human. And these kids all had black eyes. And they were just sort of wandering around the house. And so he finally left the next morning. About 6 months down the road, he got cancer and died. So, just saying. Anyway, even in their house. Enough of those black-eyed children. Weird stories. But what do you think? What are they? Who knows? I do know I wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful Camel Day ahead. And over and